Welcome to another edition of the Rising Tide Leadership Podcast, POV Gen Z. My name is Mo, and I'll be sitting in the host chair today because I have special guests on, the ladies that have worked with me in the past, and they have all the down and dirty about what it means to be a leader working with Mo and alongside Mo. And Madison is here too. So Madison, we are live.
I'm late, guys.
Well, that's the first leadership lesson that I have today is don't be late. And if this were when these ladies were in my care, that would not have been good, would have, Madison?
No.
She's not even
Very unlike
ready.
Madison.
Faith, this is okay. As everything in my life, Faith, this is your fault.
It could have been possibly my fault. I'm the one that scheduled everything.
Well, I had a dinner meeting, and it went a little longer than expected. But I'm here.
Yes. Madison is a little bit more important than the rest of us, but she has graced us with her presence. Thank you, Madison.
Mhm.
Ladies, why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell my audience your name, what you are studying in school, what you plan to do after school. You have 30 seconds to do that. Fail.
Okay. Hi, I'm Faith. I'm studying business administration, and I'm graduating in a week. If you need to hire anyone, call me. After college, I have no idea what I'm doing, but for the summer, I'll be a beach manager.
I thought you were going to say a beach bum, but a beach manager is second.
That too.
That'd have been
Same
awesome.
thing.
A beach manager.
Lake Cable. It's like a little local lake.
That's fun.
Yeah.
My name is Ella. I'm a nursing student. I graduate in a year. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I graduate.
Wow.
I'm going to be
You're
a
going to
nurse.
nursing
Don't you
school,
wanna
right?
work in like a fire truck? Not a fire truck.
No, I already did that.
Ambulance? Well,
No,
I thought you wanted
I
to do
used
it
to
again.
do that. No, I think I want to work in an ER.
My name is Madison, and my major is elementary education. I am graduating in December. And actually, Mo, I don't know if I haven't even told you this, but I got a job as an aquatics director.
Wow.
Where was this?
So it kind of just came out of the blue. I didn't even really apply for it. I had somebody reach out and asked if I would consider the job. So I considered it and said yes. I'm working part-time right now because they really needed someone. And then once I graduate, I'll step in full-time.
Is that
Wow.
back where you live, like in Ohio?
No, in Marion.
What?
Yep, the YMCA in Marion hired me as their aquatics director.
Adam?
Oh my God.
That's the best hire Adam could ever make. So, Adam, you're welcome.
Yep, scooped
Because
me up.
That's right. So when I first came on as the aquatics director and swim coach at IWU, I needed to get some people in charge because we had a huge staff. And so some people stayed and some people went, like when you start anything. And then I had interviews, and each of these girls ended up being chosen to run 3 separate pieces. And it was pretty exciting. So let's start out by letting my audience know that these girls created a group that I wasn't supposed to know about, not mentioning names, but Faith ratted them out. And the group of these 3 girls on text messages called Mo's Scapegoats. Because apparently I don't take any blame and I blame everybody else, which is exactly what I preach not to do. So ladies, why don't you just dime me out and tell my audience how bad of a leader I am?
Well, there's no bad teams, only bad leaders. And you always
Period.
told us that.
Wow. Look,
Every week.
you must be reading 21 Laws of Leadership.
I'm listening to every meeting we
podcast.
had with Mo.
Hey, I have that book right here in my room. I could whip it out.
Did you read it?
But then school started. Maybe this summer.
Man, leadership never stops.
Yeah, Mo pulled us aside weekly to yell at us and blame all of his problems on us. And then at the end of the school year, he gave us a book because we were going to continue these weekly meetings. And then suddenly Mo calls us and he tells us that he's moving to
Dang.
Texas. So it was not pointless, but
He couldn't take the heat from us, so he had to leave.
My work there was done. You girls were already the leaders I needed you to be.
Our authority was too intense. He had to get out.
It was
got
pretty
scared.
intense.
We were
If
too
you've
good
never-
at leading.
Yes, if you've never been in a meeting with these 3 girls, and sometimes I was definitely I was definitely overrun, but the girls, they did a good job. Why
Well,
don't you
he
talk?
brought us Starbucks.
That's what got me going. Starbucks
Yeah,
every
that
The
was
reason we
morning.
showed up.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not above bribery with the people because it makes them want to be there.
I was
Like
gonna
when,
say,
well,
you can't blame
Madison,
us for being too girly if you bring us Starbucks every time we show up.
who was it? One of you told the other one, "Hey, you ask Mo because he won't say no to you." Who was that?
I don't know, but one time you did give us your credit card and told us to go
You
get.
regret-
All right, somebody, okay, tell that story because I want to let my audience know how to be manipulated by the people that you trusted.
No,
Okay. To
Mo
be fair,
told
we
us
were at a swim meet.
yes, and you told us to get food and drinks, and so we went and got Starbucks and Steak and Shake with your card.
We had been at this swim meet for many hours, and he
Like
said,
2.
"Go get food and drinks." So
No,
what?
Faith said, "Can we go to Starbucks?" Which means, "Will you give me your card to go to Starbucks?" And I did. I said, "Yes." And then she said, "Can we get food too?" And I said, "Absolutely. Get whatever you want." So I was under the assumption that they were going to come back with egg bites or cake pops. And they come back and Madison has a bag conveniently just down by her side. And I'm like, "What is that?" She goes, "Steak and Shake." Did I buy that? She's like, "Of course." Oh my gosh.
Say you
You did say, "Get whatever you want."
I did. So that's on me. So leaders out there, never say whatever you want because they'll come back with Steak and Shake.
yes, being specific is important.
So talk to me about Gen Z and leadership and how you ladies are wonderful leaders now because of the great leadership and mentoring and coaching that I gave you.
Gosh, anyone
Or lack
else?
thereof.
Gen Z specifically.
But you girls are all Gen Z. You girls on the younger end of Gen Z. So I don't know what Gen Z does. I'm here to learn.
I feel like it's harder to be like a standout leader nowadays because everyone has like easy access to literally any kind of platform and they can stand out however they want, and there's so many different ways to stand out that like it's not as hard as it was before. Everyone can be their own leader in some sense. So I feel like it's a little bit as easy as it is now that makes it more difficult to stand out as a leader nowadays. That's my opinion.
As a
Anyone
leader,
else?
terms of like socially, yes. Leadership in the workplace does look very differently, I would say.
That's true.
I think people see Gen Z as like, oh, like they're not hard workers, they don't care. But I feel like there's a good percentage of us that do and that are hard workers and that want to make differences and stuff.
But I hired each of you girls in my interview process. I asked, "Are you willing to work and go above and beyond?" Because none of us get paid enough. We're all overworked and underpaid, but these things got to get done. And all you girls did not get paid a lot. You could have worked at the local Wendy's. Faith does every now and then when she goes back home to work at Wendy's and has only brought me back tacos once.
Yeah, but I brought you back tacos.
And you girls worked hard and hated it sometimes. There were some people on staff. I loved everybody on our staff, or they wouldn't have been on staff. I never saw you girls not work hard. So when I see Gen Z, the people that I hire, they're hard workers. I just happen to have all the hard workers at the school that I was working
I
at.
feel like one of the things that was super important, like learning how to lead a team, was being overly clear about what we expected of them, um, and what we wanted them to do, like having a meeting at the beginning and end of each semester, and like frequently seeing our staff so that everyone is on the same page, and like specifically training new hires and like being almost like too clear about what we wanted them to do.
Yeah, because they're still not even gonna get it then.
Yeah, I think we had high expectations and we definitely made it clear when we weren't happy with what was going on. And I think that kind of pushed people to do better.
I can think of one instance particularly where I had um a worker who I had like asked her multiple times to like do something for me, and then even like had told the staff, if you don't do it then there will be some kind of like penalty, and it didn't get done, and so I gave her the penalty like I said that I would. um and she was mad and it felt like she didn't deserve it. She was very entitled, and I just basically was
You're
like, no,
talking
like,
about me.
nope, not you.
I was about to say, Faith, remember when she gave us points?
Everyone gets points.
Madison did punish me a few times.
Points.
We all did, except for Madison.
Madison led us, to be honest.
Points are bad for my audience. You don't want to get points. You get 12 points, you get fired. And Madison gave everybody points, including me.
Madison gave
I
Faith
had
like
12
8.
points. Yeah, no, I was like this close from extinction.
Yeah, no, I think you had 8. You still made it. That's all that matters.
I
Hey,
think the only
nobody is
reason
above the law.
that's true. I think the only reason that I did make it was because I was just needed so desperately.
We didn't want to do your
No.
job too.
The
What?
reason you had that many because of the one no call, no show. That was it.
There was a no call, no show. I had another
Then you
one.
gave us points like twice for not cleaning up after swim lessons. And I literally went to tutoring. Like I wasn't like just going to do whatever. I was busy.
I'll tell my audience that the rigorous vetting process that I did when I hired you, since you were my first manager hire.
It was so rigorous. It first started out, Mo was getting to know me. I was lifeguarding, and he asked me what like my past lifeguarding experience, and I told him that I helped manage my pool back home, the public pool in my hometown. And he said, "Oh, great! You ever thought of being a manager here?" And I was like, "No, didn't know you were hiring." And then he's like, "Let's have a meeting." And then we had our interview like a couple days later.
Which was pretty much me just telling her what she was going to be doing as the manager.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got off so easy. What?
Very proactive.
This guy made me take the Clifton strength test.
Yes.
I'd already taken it. I sent mine to Mo. I'd already taken it.
That's crazy. And then
That's
we
so
went over
funny.
my results.
We
Mo,
did.
you didn't have me do that.
Another worker.
I was just desperate.
He didn't know how
He
to work with
was.
social media, so someone had
I
to.
didn't even have an interview.
So Faith, how did you even come on? Because you're my utility person. Everything else that Ella and Madison don't have time to do, I pretty much said, I need for you to do it so I can make sure it gets done. So anyway,
I
go
did
ahead.
literally everything and anything. But I interviewed to be a lifeguard, and then whatever. I knew Ella was the main. I just knew that things weren't like officially settled within the aquatics program because Mo was new. And so I was like talking about being a manager to Mo, and he was like, "Well, the marketing manager you could be." And I was like, "Sounds good to me." And I was.
Well, the old marketing manager was still there at the beginning when me and Ella were there. Yeah, we had a few meetings with her, and then she
Really?
left shortly after.
Yeah, she was a senior. She
She was
was
a
getting ready to
senior.
move on.
Right.
Well, then it was
Actually, that was a new position. There's a job description, but I always tell people the job description is different than the job responsibilities, as you girls know. There's what it says you're going to be doing, and then your responsibilities are the things that you actually do. And so for Faith, I literally said, I need for you to make sure you can get done whatever needs to be done. And you sometimes would help Madison with swim lessons, and then Ella, I had all you girls at that swim meet you're talking about where you duped me out of food and drink. That was a crazy swim meet. There was way too many people on deck. Everybody was stressed out. I thought we were going to need a smaller crew because remember that the year before it wasn't that big. So, when when you wanted Starbucks and then food, I didn't care. I was just like, whatever's going to keep them happy because it was kind of crazy. Madison, remind me about your interview process.
When I first got there, the swim lesson student lead was still there for like a month or two. And then she left halfway through swim lessons. And so then you just said, hey, we're open for hiring. So I applied, came in for like my first interview. We just chatted. It felt like you were just trying to get to know me. And then had me take the Clifton strength test. Came back in for a second interview. Once that was taken, we discussed my strengths and your strengths and how they would work well together, what each of our weaknesses are. You asked me actual interview questions. And then after that, I came in for, I guess you could say like a third interview, but it was really just like letting me know that I got the job.
Yeah.
So the process
So made
took
you
a
do
few
a
weeks.
lot.
Yeah. What the? I can't believe you guys didn't have to do all that. That's crazy.
No, what was
I
the
went from
process?
lifeguard to manager in like 3 days,
Almost 3 minutes.
and I only worked there for like a week and a half.
Yeah, I got hired right before Thanksgiving break. So I had been there for 2-ish months, I guess.
I think
Something
school
like
had
that.
barely started, like freshman week, whatever that fresh new student orientation had just finished.
So the trajectory of all this, to kind of pull the curtain back for you girls a little bit, when I got there, there was a team that was made by the former aquatics director, and she was great, and her team was great. As you know, the girls that were in those positions, they were either getting ready to graduate, other things going on. And so my lifeguard manager actually gave me a week's notice. I remember getting that text at like 11 at night on a Friday.
Oh, wow.
And
That's morning for you.
well, I was awake.
Yeah, you didn't sleep.
I sleep, I rest. And
Hey,
so
rest.
so that's when I saw Ella that next week. Not that I was desperate, but I was looking, I need to do this because it's my job to get these things done. And the lifeguard staff was great. The lifeguard manager, she was wonderful. She'd been doing it for 3 years. She put in her time. So she got done and she was wonderful. There was a great system for Ella when she came in right away. And I told Ella, hey, take what works, don't use what doesn't. And I would say, Ella, it took you probably a good 6 months to kind of figure stuff out, and we would work together. So I was learning in my first year, and then all of a sudden I'm teaching somebody, we're learning together. Like even like by the time, Madison, that I got to you, there were more candidates. It came down to a couple, the way that you worked. I'm like, look, as we were discussing right before we got on, it's not high pay, but management never is high pay. It never is. You can usually make more money in a sales position, like selling cars or whatever, than you can being a manager, because you're in control of your own destiny, as opposed to, hey, this is what you're going to get paid. And my point is that by the time I got to the whole process, Madison, I actually had a process. That's why I had real interview questions. And it's funny, you say the first interview that we had, it was just kind of like a discussion. One of the candidates even told me, she came in and we were talking, and she's like, is this an interview? And I said, yeah. She's like, I wish you would have told me. Because the way that I do things, right? I'm just kind of like, hey, stop by my office. Like, I learned a lot from that. It's different. And again, generationally, like I have fun working with Gen Z. Like I love working with college kids because we get to mold the next generation of leaders. Remember when I told you girls, hey, let's read a book together, and you were all like, what?
Yeah.
Because you have like whatever 16 books to read a semester, and if you're going to be a teacher like Ella and you're going to be a nurse, you're leading people, which all you girls were. You got to be good at what you do, and that's leadership. So I need to know this. I want to know, why is it most scapegoats? Who came up with that? Was it you?
That wasn't me.
It was Madison, wasn't it?
I'll throw her right under that bus.
Yeah, me too.
It was funny. Still is.
It is funny.
I'll tell you why.
Yes, I
tell you
love
why.
it. Everybody asked me that story.
Well, obviously, it stems from the infamous quote, there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. And we had a meeting with the entire aquatic staff, everyone. And this guy said, in front of everyone,
Am I this guy, or is that a different guy?
no, you.
Okay,
That's you.
I'm this guy.
You are this guy. In front of everyone, you were basically, you said, when you guys mess up, I yell at Ella, Madison, and Faith, and it's their fault because there are no bad teams, just bad leaders. And everyone thought you were so mean for that.
They all were like,
what? And
like,
anytime
typical Mo.
anything bad happened in the staff, we would have our weekly meeting, and you would be like, yeah, so what are you going to do about it? Like, how are you going to make sure this doesn't happen again?
By the way, Mo would always diss on Gen Zs. He'd be like, I hate, this is why your generation's like this. I hate your
say,
generation.
problem with your generation.
You guys need more bullies.
Yeah, what's the problem with your generation?
Gen Z needs more bullies. This is what's wrong with your generation.
We do need more bullies. We do.
I remember one of our staff called me out on saying that in front of everybody.
Yes, she fought you.
Let me ask you a question. Did I ever say that in front of the staff ever again?
No, but you didn't really have much
just to
of a
us three.
chance. You left.
You
No,
did.
that was a little bit before.
That's pretty early on.
Yeah, that was
Was
early
it?
on. That was our first and only in-service. Again, Madison, you're right. The infamous quote from Mo used to be, and I haven't used it since, was that's the problem with your generation. And I was always joking, but there's always a little truth in every joke. And I used it kind of as a throwaway line. And somebody would say something like, I'd say, well, where's so-and-so? He couldn't be here because he had whatever. And I say, that's the problem with their generation. You guys just can't keep appointments. Or something was dirty. And I'd be like, man, nobody takes any pride in stuff anymore. That's a problem with their generation. And then when we were in the middle of that in service, that lifeguard, who is one of my favorites, she was visibly upset.
Yes, yes, she was mad. She was
Yeah.
having a full debate with you.
Yeah. Thanks for helping me out in that one. It's like, oh, no.
No,
It's
you
so
did it
awkward.
right
I was
into
like,
that one.
you, yeah, you got yourself in. Well, that's because they were talking about how mad they were at you for saying that for a while. And then
Really?
you finally, yeah, and then you finally said it like out in the open and gave them the opportunity to address it. And so like she unleashed what she's been feeling for a while.
Oh, shoot. So that was
But
that was the tipping point.
yeah, but it sounds like you've softened up.
I thought, so the staff was mad at me for saying that up to that point? I didn't know that. That's awesome. Makes me even happier. I'm glad I
Well-
was the Gen Z bully. That's what I'm going to start calling myself, the Gen Z bully.
You were the Gen
Gen
Z
Z.
bully.
You kind of are, but like you're a good bully because you care, and that's why you bully.
Hey, because it helped
Yeah.
our staff to lean on us more when they were mad at you.
That's
Which
true.
was most of the time.
We created a bond.
Oh my gosh.
I can't
So
find any.
what do Gen Z people need to do to be better at leadership? I told the staff, as you guys are the lifeguards and the swim instructors and all the other stuff that we do, these three girls are the ones that I'm putting most of my time into because I only have so much time. We met every week because does anybody remember what I would say about why we need to meet once a week?
There's so many reasons, but you were like you
We were in
wanted to
trouble.
anticipate. Well, yeah, that one. You wanted to anticipate problems before they even happened.
Absolutely.
That it?
Yeah, perfect. When you're in a program driven business, anything worth doing is worth evaluating. And if you're a program driven business, then you need to meet with your staff at least once a week. And that's why I would tell it. And I always would joke and say, you girls need to see my smiling face once a week. If we ever went more than a week without seeing each other, which we did, because Madison would have class or Ella would be doing this. Faith, I don't even think goes to class. I mean, she's always available. She's like, yeah, whatever. You've got to have your staff there. And so it is weird because at first, right, it's like, well, why are we meeting every week? And then all of a sudden, what do? I bring you in and I would say, all right, what's going on? And you girls ran the meeting. And we would always run out of time. We would always I try to keep them to a half an hour. So for leaders out there, like you need to figure that out for your team. But like these girls were the ones that ran my life. And so what are your thoughts on leadership then? Because all three of you girls have very high leadership potential. Do you see yourselves being in charge of stuff in the future? Madison, you just got a job with one of my favorite people in the world. You're going to be one of his directors. What are your conversations with him based on working with Ella and Faith and me and the team and what are some of the things that you're looking forward to in your new role?
Definitely like the support, I think, that comes from the staff there. So I know you talked about like how we had weekly meetings. Their staff also has weekly meetings, and Adam has checked in with me multiple times to make sure like I'm getting control of everything and I know what I'm doing. So having support from higher ups is really good. And then originally stepping into the role, you had asked earlier what the like what Gen Z needs to be leaders. And what really helped me was empowerment. So, like you and Adam just like pointing something out in myself and saying, hey, like this is a really great quality that you have. And you have such potential to be a leader. And I can really see you in this position. And then just like empowering Gen Z that they can do it and that they have good leadership qualities inside of them. And this is why.
I think a big thing when it comes to ownership is definitely like taking accountability and like ownership for what you're doing. Like, I mean, like we like joke about it, but like there's no bad teams, only bad leaders. But like you can't expect your team to do well and succeed if you aren't putting in the work as well. Like, you can't just sit back and be like, "You guys got it." Like, you have to pour into your team and just, like, make sure everyone knows what they're doing and that everything is the gears are turning properly.
Yeah.
I think another one that's big with leadership, one that I especially learned from Mo, it's obvious, but in a small little aquatic center, these things seem to be what's like tunnel visioned almost. I feel like these problems, like problems arise and they're always going to happen when you're in business or really doing anything. And so, one, we would meet weekly to be proactive about the problems that we were like foreseen, and we would make up problems so that we knew that we had a plan B in case anything happened. But then also there would be problems that happened that we didn't like expect to arise, and coming up with a solution for each problem. I remember Mo would get pretty frustrated with me if I came with a problem and I didn't already have a solution. He's like, you need to have a like it doesn't have to be perfect, but I need a solution at least a little bit, or else a problem means nothing to me.
Yeah, going
But I
off of
think
that too. Sorry. I think that like we got better with it the longer we did it.
yeah. And I also think that, like, us 3 or 4, I guess, worked so well as a team, like, we were able to we kinda knew how each other operated, and we were able to, like, fill in what the other person couldn't do. Like, Madison was really good at giving points and being all like, "Listen up," you know? And we like to joke about it, but it was helpful.
Right.
Mhm.
What one of my favorite stories is the very first swim lesson day
Knew you were gonna bring
on
this up.
Saturday. It was the first swim lesson day. When you're doing swim lessons, Madison's only got so many people doing swim lessons, and they all have their own lanes, literally, with the kids that they have. And if you don't show up, guess who gets in the water? Madison gets in the water. So it's 15 minutes before, 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before. Still, somebody was a no call, no show, which whoops, just stressed Madison out. But here's the thing, another person had already called out the night before. So Madison was in the water, but guess who else was in the water? Mo was in the water, because that's what you do. Leaders fix problems and they make sure things get done. And I know for Madison, my goal in that moment was, okay, this isn't a time to give one of Mo's great leadership lessons. Hey, we're actually in the thick of things. Let's figure this out. I never liked her to be in the water. I said, you got to figure out, get enough people. Sometimes we had so much going on. I had Faith or Ella or both come in, and we would stack the staff because I wanted you girls to know what it felt like to actually lead and manage well. But in that case, we didn't. Madison was in the water. I was in the water. It was craziness. People were running around. We didn't know what was happening, but we got through it. And then after that, we had a AAR, right? After action review. We just kind of talked about it and said, okay, let's talk about this more in our meeting on Monday. And we did. Madison, I think you even said, I'm glad that happened because that was like worst case scenario.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, when that happened, and Madison, you can talk to this. I feel like you gained some confidence because you're like, everything just hit the fan and we got through it.
Yeah, it was I mean, there's obviously so many other things that I have to do during swim lessons that it makes it really hard when I have to get in the water too. But having you there, making sure there's always a lifeguard on duty obviously helped. So that way when literally everything went wrong, we had a few things in place so that it wasn't ideal and it was crazy, but we made it.
You got to have contingency plans. And LI, all of a sudden, somebody would call off, and what do you do? Do you close the pool? Most of the time, I was right upstairs, and I say, okay, I can get down there. Can you figure out what's going on? And so we figured these things out. The stress that Gen Z takes on is there's stress where you are afraid of something, and then there's stress that's just, oh my gosh, I got to get this paper done. And the Gen Z psyche is it's those are now one and the same, and it's tough. And so as a leader, my job is, and then our job, because you girls are an extension of me as the supervisor, is to say, how do we make these young people feel like the world's not falling apart? I would tell people, I say, Ella's always the first call that you make. If Ella can't fix it, then I'll fix it. Because sometimes, Ella, you were in another city doing your clinicals or whatever. But you would let me know that. For a time, even, I think in your busiest semester, you would tell the staff, and I was there to reiterate, when you do something, you need to make a group text and you need to send it to Ella and Mo. And that way one of us would get it. I knew when Ella was going to be gone, and I don't want you to worry about this stuff all the time, but at the same time, I wanted you girls to take ownership. I feel like you did. What you did wasn't the most important thing in your life, but it was an important thing in your life to lead your teams.
We took pride in what we did, and so that helps too, because like our name is attached to this. We don't want it to be a sinking ship.
For swim lessons, especially, that is true. I mean, I would spend months creating this program, communicating with parents, training, hiring, instructing my swim instructors, reorganizing kids, and then finally, like, to see it come together the first week, the second week, and then end all smoothly was definitely like, and I mean, yeah, definitely like took pride in it and was felt really like accomplished.
I think a huge part of that too is the fact that, I mean, all three of you guys cared so much. Like what Ella said, you guys took pride, you guys cared so much and had passionate about what you did, which inspired me to also care and like be passionate. Like, to be honest, I could care less if the office is clean or not, but since Mo cared so much, I cared so much. You know?
You did.
So I think that's an important quality as a leader as well, is like you have to inspire others, and to do that you have to be passionate and care about what you're doing, and everyone will follow suit. But if you like don't care, no one else is going to care.
Yeah, I thought that was really important. And you girls, again, you knew it was important to me. There's some things that were not important to me, and there were some things that were very important to me. The office always was an important thing to me, obviously, because I said, this is our home, right? And it's for lifeguards and swim instructors, and then the swimmers and divers could come in and stuff. But even they knew. Was it you, Faith, that I had go get snacks all the time? We set up
Yes.
we set up a snack bar, and just
We
something
had a whole
small.
fridge.
It was
We had a whole-
great.
And a
Dr.
microwave.
Thunder,
We had Dr. Thunder.
not Dr. Pepper, Dr. Thunder.
Dr. Thunder.
In fact,
It's
the other
better than
day,
Dr.
Dr.
Pepper's
Pepper.
cousin.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I got a random Snapchat from Ella the other day, or is it from you, Faith,
It was
with
from me.
Ella? Okay, yeah, and it's just a picture of Dr. Thunder.
Did we both send him a Snapchat with Dr.
I
Did
sent
you?
him a picture of Dr. Thunder.
Same.
Maybe I
That's
got it for
funny.
both you girls. And
Oh my
Madison's
gosh.
just, she never snaps. I have no idea. I didn't even know Madison.
You on Snap? Why have you
Oh,
not added
man.
me?
Well, we're going to have to make a group called Mo Scapegoats and Mo.
Plus the
And Mo.
plus Mo.
Mo and his
Mo and his
scapegoats.
scapegoat.
Mo
All right,
Yeah,
I'm
there
going to
you
be
go.
scapegoat.
Faith, that's up to you. That's your job to create that group.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still giving Faith
See,
jobs.
once
Don't do it, you'll
once
get points.
once you work, yeah. So before we go, and we'll have to have you girls on again, what is, and again, I'm so proud and happy to hear that, you know, you girls are moving to the next part of your lives, whether it's finishing up school or getting ready to take on, you know, a new aquatics job. With, I'm seriously so excited for you to be working with Adam, because you always want to work with good leaders. I mean, this is free chicken right here, but you want people that are listening, you have to work for people that you believe in what they do. And the reason I loved what I did at IWU is I loved working with Adam. He was always a macro manager, but he was always there if I needed him. He'd say,
Yeah.
Mo, this is your program, but if you need me, let me know. And that's exactly how I did it. And then that's how I was able to run my staff. And as I mean, I think each of you girls said at one point or another in this conversation, you girls were even able to ask Adam stuff. I didn't feel slighted that anybody was going over my head. We were all trying to get things done. It was huge. Adam ran the entire program. I was his director for the pool. I mean, he ran the basketball courts and all the other intramural sports and stuff like that. So we didn't want to bother him. And we would talk about that kind of stuff. He would always stop by, right? He'd just kind of come in and he'd chat with us. And and see what's going on and wanted to know what's going on in your lives. And so that's the kind of leader that I want to work for. And so when I hear that Madison is going to be working for him again, I'm already excited because Madison, you already know you love Adam just like I do, and Rhonda. I mean, they're wonderful, but you already know you're going to have a good experience. The job might not be your dream job, but you know that whatever time you spend there, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to get such a good experience there. And so I hear so many young people hop in. Gen Z is known for this, right? Going from job to job. I'm like, like I'm gonna kind of fly. I was reading an article about one guy who would just fly under the radar. His Gen Z guy, and when they'd find out and get mad at him, he'd just quit. And I was like, I want to find those people, and I want to get them excited about what they're doing, whether I'm selling widgets or I'm at the YMCA or I'm a swim coach or whatever. And so that was my job and my hope for these girls. And so, what excites you, each of you, and we'll close with this, about your future and being able to be a person of influence? Because your generation hears the word influencer. And I hate that that term has been stolen and co opted from previous generations because when I grew up, I was always told, Mo, you want to be an influencer. But what that really meant is you want to be a person of influence. Nothing wrong with being an influencer on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. I mean, that's great. If you can do it, great. But I want to be a person of influence, and the young men and young women that work with me and are under my supervision, I want them to learn a little bit more to be a person of influence. So what excites each of you, what this next year or season of life about being a person of influence wherever you're at?
I think that, like, from my experience, the people that have influenced me most are people who not only care about you, like, as an employee, but also, like, as a whole person. Like, Adam and Mo, like, you guys would, how's your life? How's your family? Like, getting to know us more than just, like, have you done that thing that I told you to do? Like, just like being a person of influence means sometimes it's more than just the job you're assigned, and you're pouring into your employees and pouring into whoever you're influencing per se in order to make them feel like, I guess.
Yeah, I would second that. Just like I'm so excited to work for Adam again and be with someone that I enjoy being with. And I'm excited to hopefully spread that to the people under me as well. I want them to be excited to come to work because they know that I support them and I'm, here for them and they can like feel that they are getting something done, they're being accomplished in a place where they are respected.
I think that I'm literally just excited for everything that encapsulates being an influencer. I think I'm not afraid to take risks. I'm excited to take risks. I'm excited to make mistakes. I'm excited to influence other people and inspire them to also take risks, make mistakes, and be successful. So I'm just excited for, I think, every part of it.
As a Child Leadership POV Gen Z podcast. If you like what you hear, give us a like, subscribe, and follow. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. We give a lot of cool things every month. And man, I'm just excited about Gen Z. I'm excited for you girls. I'm excited for this next generation as you are already taking the reins of leadership. That's exciting for me because I love all things leadership and want to do it again. So, ladies, thank you for making time. I will see you all next time.
Smash that
Yeah.
like button, hit subscribe.
Is that what Gen Z does? Is that what this smash
Yeah.
that man? All right. So next time I gotta say smash that like button. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta be really smash that like button, hit
that like
subscribe.
button.
We'll see you next
Wow.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
It is like missed.
Is
He's
it Mr.
a
Beast?
Gen Z,
Is he's Gen Z? Okay.
So actually,
I think.
2024, I just listened to this today. It's like Kai something, and then it's Rhett and Link, whom I
Who's
love.
that? Is that a guy or
They're
girl?
like best friends, and they have
Rhett
like a
and
podcast
Link.
channel.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well, maybe.
that's them.
Well, Faith, that'll be your first guest for the POV Gen Z podcast. You're gonna have to get them on.
Okay, I would love to. If I can do that, if I can make that happen,
Get them on the podcast.
I'll work
All right,
for
well,
it.
we'll see you all next time.